Malcador the Sigilite, or Malcador the Hero by decree of the Emperor of Mankind. Or Unki Malk if you're a primarch. Founder of the Administratum Officio Sacernorum, Inquisition and Grey Knights. Even for such a revered and legend of a man, few knew about his trip to Catachan, and even fewer knew that he had a son. Unfolding from that unlikely circumstance, here we have Malcador's son, a kitbash from a Age of Sigmar necromancer into a primaris psyker, with the fire from Abaddon's base, video in the making. Coming in at a mere 50 points, this psyker hasn't had the best run. Nevertheless, I've given him a little servitor body and I've head swapped him for a respirator. I imagine the air on Catachan to be fairly clean, but Junior here has been smoking the heaviest tobacco the galaxy has to offer for thousands of years. A fair few coats of skin tone base from Jasonja for the cloak to begin, which is basically the whole model done except for the griming up, little details and a minor airbrush. To try and achieve a flame object source lighting effect seen in the photos at the beginning. Lurking amongst the bushes, he's not really favoured by his fellow troops as he keeps walking in the line of sight and is a constant liability. But that doesn't stop him getting out there and rummaging around the local flora and fauna. With his little servitor buddy, which I haven't actually thought of a name for yet. Could be Baltimore or something. But there is another reason why these two aren't really appreciated and feared by the other troops. The great barking toad of the death world of Catachan is considered one of the most devastatingly poisonous creatures in the entire galaxy. Fortunately, it is extremely rare. Catachan barking toads can be very unpredictable in movement, one moment hopping around, the next hiding underneath rocks or dank places. They really don't appreciate being disturbed. This reclusive amphibian has a unique self-defense mechanism. When threatened, it emits a cloud of toxins that kills all life within a kilometre in every direction, reducing every biological organism to a slimy, formless mass, and no vegetation will grow there. And Malky Boy's son here likes to collect them for his own narcotic use, with the close aid of his servitor skull buddy. Being a death world of Catachan base, I found some materials that would be suitable and employed some help from one of the best helpers. Painting Olaf's nose from Frozen in exchange, I find getting kids involved in little diorama bases is a great way to get them into the hobby. Some stellar work on her first mini. Plus, like this, you're basically just slapping around random paints, so there's not much to worry about as it'll all be covered up. Just gotta have fun, don't take it too seriously, and paint bravely. Along with the stick my assistant found at the park, these little moss tufts really look realistic and great. I like to hide poor paint jobs, and you can cut them up and put them all over. Realistically, he's probably come along here to search for a toad under that log. For a fair while I was contemplating what colour to paint the servitor's power cord. I decided to try out some yellow Vallejo paint gifted to me, which is famously hard to reach opacity, but why not? If you're a hoarder of paint or items like me, instead of pouring paint into a wet palette, I just used a lid from Jasonja. Just white to soulstone red, and then just a tiny dot of white to finish. Now with basically all the little details done, we can proceed to our favourite part, manking up the whole figure with some dirty contrast paints. He's got a little leather patch here that we know takes wildwood contrast from our first video to achieve the perfect leather look. On top of the skin colours of Cadian flesh tone and Raka flesh, I always apply Reichland flesh shade. It really does bring a lot of age to him, and I did also apply a tiny bit of Nicolic oxide around his eyes to make him look more wizardly. I plan to make a skull and bones video one day, but basically it's just use shabty bone or morecast bone with skeleton horde on top. Another great contrast paint. None oil on all the metals and just in his little spell book. One of the favourite contrast paints on the channel here, Agrax Earthshade, recently reproduced with a different recipe. Don't ask why. Just hang on tightly to your old pots. Long anticipated the final griming of this fella before the flame effect. We're just going to slap one, maybe two thick coats all over that nice cloak to really represent his travels and hardships on the Death World. This moment could be make or break. I've left the flame white so that the red really picks up. Terrified that I'm just going to overdo it and spray way too much, so steady as she goes. And here they are on another hunt for the elusive barking toad. I hope you've enjoyed my little story today. Thanks for watching, and